Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Are you feeling charitable? Then smash the subscribe button and the like button, and please do follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Friday's edition of the DC Multiverse Daily, and you are very, very welcome. And today we are covering a very, very controversial article from Shiraz Faruqi. Before I start reading this and tearing this article to pieces, because that is my intention, so if you don't like that intention, you may as well just leave the building, leave the train before I throw you off. I want to make one thing absolutely clear. I think Shiraz Faruqi is a great journalist. He's a big Zack Snyder fan. He's a big Henry Cavill Superman fan, as am I. But once you say to people, what I want is more important than what you want, we do have a big problem. So let's read this article. The future of Superman on film must embrace evolution over nostalgia. Already he's saying to people, what I want is more relevant than what you want and what you value. Anyway, few superheroes have the cultural and historical significance of Superman. The 82-year-old character is a staple of American pop culture and has had worldwide impact through many mediums, first gracing the comic pages in 1938. The man has still made his way into the world feature films. From the unmatchable charisma, charm and smile of Christopher Reeve's Superman to the humble, stoic and heroic nature of Henry Cavill's Superman, the character has had an incredible history in cinema. Yet, in that history, there have been gaps and pitfalls in the character's legacy on film. It boils down to evolution and nostalgia. Respect Christopher Reeve. Don't replicate him. Christopher Reeve was iconic. The man exemplified the Superman on and off camera. It's not hard to see how. 1978's Superman the movie changed cinema and forced the world to take Superman as a serious character in the medium. Richard Donner's impact on the character was both a gift to Superman's legacy, but it also brought an unexpected curse. And one thing I want to say, Richard Donner did things with Superman that no one else has. He had to make a Superman movie without any computer-generated images, right? He had to do most of the things that he did in camera. There's not a director around today, including Zack Snyder, who I admire as a visionary artist, who could have gone back in time in a DeLorean or a TARDIS to 1978 and navigated what Dick did. Dick actually rose above the Salkinds, who were trying to penny pinch and cost cut constantly while he was trying to make the best looking movie ever back in 1978, where people didn't give a shit how a movie looked or felt. Not only did it look and feel amazing, but the story was beautiful, the performances were beautiful. It was something new, something the world had never seen before, apart from in the pages of comic books and the George Reeves series and the radio show as well. Superman the movie is still to this day the archetype of the perfect superhero film, origin story, and we watch it before we make almost any one of our films, said Marvel president Kevin Feige. And let me just say one thing about Feige, because he gets a bad rap. His inspiration for the Marvel Cinematic Universe is Superman the movie. The humour, the stoicness of it, the way his heroes look and act, especially Captain America. Anyone who thinks that Chris Evans' performance isn't kind of inspired by Christopher Reeve's Superman performance isn't paying attention. Safe to say there would be no modern superhero movie craze if Christopher Reeve did not don the cape. While Reeve deserves all his flowers for being the most iconic actor-hero combo in cinematic history, the flip side to this would be the audience's complete devotion to his iteration. But that's deserved because it was so good. And let me be absolutely clear here, Without Christopher Reeve in Superman the movie and what Dick Donner and Chris did and everybody else involved in that movie, I would never have become a Superman fan. Without watching Smallville, that flame for Superman wouldn't have been reinvigorated. These versions of Superman are so very important, and not to look back for them, not to look back to them is a big mistake. Right. Don the Cape, while Reeve deserves all his flowers for being the most iconic action hero combo in cinematic history, the flip side to this would be the audience's complete devotion to his iteration, stunting his growth. Ooh. After the success of the first two Superman films, the character saw a slump. Behind the scenes, issues watered down the hero to a comedic tone in Superman 3, while budget issues and reshoots hurt Superman 4. Overall, ending Reeve's tenure as the hero on a less than stellar note. To be honest, in life, nothing ends well, does it? It started so well and ended so badly because people made bad decisions. That is true. Despite that, Reeve is rightfully ingrained into the hearts of all that grew up with him. The issue arose when those who fell in love with Christopher Reeve's Superman did just that to a fault. No Superman adaptation holds up to the impossible standard of childhood nostalgia. Well, actually, Shiraz, you're wrong when it comes to me. Because how comes I love Christopher Reeve's Superman, Tom Welling's Clark Kent, but I still love Henry Cavill's Superman and Nolan's and Goya's and Snyder's vision of him? Explain that. I don't think you can. While it's fine to be attached to your version of a character, it is also important to continue passing the baton of growth. When you capture lightning in a bottle, you hold onto it as long as you can, but you do not try to replicate it once it's gone. Listen, there's so many people out there who want to see a bright coloured Superman costume and the pants, right? And everything people hold dear. That's not about Christopher Reeve. That's what people see in the original comics. And there are many, many people who don't want to see a darkened up kind of Batman version of Superman. Again, I love Man of Steel. I love BVS. Can't wait to Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I love Cavill's Superman. But it's not for everyone. And I think this is why Walter Hamada and Jim Lee have worked so hard to develop this multiverse strategy so everyone can get a Superman that they want. And that's exactly what we're going to get. So this is what makes this article kind of futile, but we carry on. An example of this will be 2006's Superman Returns, starring Brandon Routh. Superman Returns was the first Superman movie in almost 20 years after Reeve's final film. After 2 decades of the character trying and failing to give itself a restart, including shelved projects by Tim Burton and J.J. Abrams, the studio opted to go back to its comfort zone production, a pseudo sequel to 1980's Superman 2. Unfortunately, Superman Returns was doomed the moment it decided Reeve would not play Superman, but Reeve's version of Superman. I don't think that's why the movie was doomed, and by the way, that film has got some fabulous elements to it, and I don't think that's the reason it didn't make the money and it didn't continue. The problem was that Bryan Singer was a very mixed up person. He was also trying to make a sequel and a new movie, and he couldn't make his mind up. And when you look at that film, it just didn't have the aesthetic of the original Christopher Reeve, Richard Donner Superman films. And that's where the problem actually laid, and that's why it failed. It didn't fail because it tried to replicate and bring back the Reeve franchise. If that was done successfully, that could have worked. It just wasn't executed in the correct manner. The film tried to give audiences everything they loved about Reeve on the surface level, the smile to the camera, the iconic score, and the lighter tone. Yet in that, the film felt like a shell of Reeve's work. Absolutely. Superman Returns underperformed at the box office with $391 million. One could wonder what the state of the Superman franchise would have been if they went with a reboot like Christopher Nolan's The Dark Trilogy instead of relying on the nostalgia of 1978. I think he means the Dark Knight Trilogy. Well, he does mean the Dark Knight Trilogy. Speaking of Batman, it is worth pointing out the difference in each character's treatment. After Michael Keaton and Tim Burton gave Batman the darker rebirth he needed in 1989's Batman, audiences were okay with embracing the new, while respecting Adam West's lighter portrayal. When Christopher Nolan brought Christian Bale to the role, the world embraced him as a completely new way of not telling a continuation of Burton's Batman. He was allowed to start fresh and bring something new to the character, something Superman does not get right. You obviously, maybe Shiraz, you don't understand Superman and Superman fandom very well. You understand the DCEU Superman fandom, but not the comic book fandom, not the people who love the Reeves and Donner movies. So the reason that people struggle with a darker version to Superman, because that's not what his origins are, but Batman's origins do come as a darker character who was formed from seeing his parents killed and being actually the world's ultimate detective as well. Batman is a very different case in point to Superman. Superman's origins are lighter and brighter and more inspirational. The key to Batman has always been uniqueness to interpretation. West Keaton, Bale Affleck, and what we've seen of Pattinson each stand on their own. Neither is tethered to the other. Yet for Superman, there was always a push to tether all future iterations to Reeve until 2013. Well, there's a reason for that, because Reeve was so good. He nailed it. He nailed the comic book Superman, and that's why everybody loves it. And I tried to explain yesterday, this is one of the reasons Jeff Johns crossed the line, because like us on Twitter, we are so passionate from our side of the ideology of Superman and what we like about him. We're fighting for what we want. And this is what happened with Jeff Johns. And this is what the arguments of Twitter are all about. There's the purists saying, no, we want a brighter Superman. We don't want a Superman that kills. And there's the other side of it, my fellow Superman DCEU fans who say we want a darker Superman. We like this realistic take on the character. So this is why we're getting the multiverse strategy. But this article doesn't seem to understand that. Bringing Superman to the modern age. Henry Cavill was cast as Superman under the direction of Zack Snyder for 2013's Man of Steel. Important again to remind everyone, Zack Snyder did not write Man of Steel. Just remember that, because nobody mentions Nolan and Goya when they talk about Man of Steel. It's all about Zack Snyder. It's either his fault or it's his credit. 2013's Man of Steel. Cavill on paper provided everything one would look for in a Superman. Physically, the actor carried look comparable to the comic book that birthed Superman. In on-screen personality, Cavill provided the best Superman since Christopher Reeve. Both actors carried a sense of grace during their time in the role, with each excelling and bringing out different strengths of Superman. In the pantheon of superheroes, Superman is the most recognised and revered character of all time, and I'm honoured to be part of his return to the big screen, Snyder said to The Hollywood Reporter on Cavill's casting. He's the perfect choice to don the cape and S-Shield, although he wanted to cast another actor, and he didn't cast him basically because his scheduling was all wrong, so Cavill wouldn't have even got the role if the guy who was going to play Deathstroke in the DCEU, I forgot his name now, but he was actually Snyder's original pick. So that's interesting, isn't it? If Reeve captured the heart of Superman, Cavill captured his soul. I can agree with that. In 2013's Man of Steel, audiences find Superman in a different place than previous films. The character was on a larger journey of self-discovery that would require multiple films to truly explore. Throughout that journey, there are shades to Superman's immigrant roots, nods to his Golden Age beginnings, and a strong sense to bring him into the 21st century. This was a Superman in a post-9/11 world, and that lied the problem with Superman purists. A world with different sensibilities, fears, and faults than the post-Vietnam War era of Reeves films. And I think that's the problem when you put Superman in this real world. It's not a problem to me, by the way, because I loved it, but maybe the iconic Superman for Superman purists more suits the post-Vietnam War than the post-9/11 world. Just an opinion. When Reeves' Superman showed himself to the world, saving Lois Lane from the helicopter, the world cheered that America needed that Superman. When Cavill's Superman appears, there's a sense of fear from the people, the country and the press. This fear would eventually turn into trust as the character progressed through his arc. That's correct. The critical reception for Man of Steel and its sequel, Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice, paint a story worth analysing. Glancing through the Rotten Tomatoes page of both films, there is a common thread line of pointing out the lack of humour, the apparent absence of fun, and the lack of a Christopher Reeve film. While the earlier 2 points are debatable to the eye of the critics, the last point is why the critics failed these films. Someone said, "It's so dark." Producer Deborah Snyder said to Forbes about Superman in 2016, "I go, well, is it dark? He's going through real problems that we go through as people every day. To me, that's not dark. That's life, absolutely. We're complicated people, and we're making him, in that way, more relatable." Yeah, I mean, Deb's just so intelligent, and she has a way with words, doesn't she? As established above, the devotion to Reeves' Superman had the side effect of not accepting anything else. This is not present for other superheroes and is directly tied to Superman. The subtext of Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman is the world we live in today, and I think that's why audiences were split. What would Superman look like in today's America? Unfortunately, this country is not a utopia, and the world is not lemon drops and gumdrops. The world does not need a bright Superman. Now, this is where I have to tear you to pieces, Shiraz. The world doesn't need a bright Superman. Shiraz, look around you, my friend. Look around you. We're wearing fucking masks. We're living in a fucking dystopia. We're stuck to our devices. We're arguing about politics. When I was growing up, we didn't even give a shit about politics as young people. We all hate on each other over bollocks and bullshit all day, right? The world desperately needs a bright Superman. Desperately needs an inspirational character. And that doesn't mean there's not a place for Henry Cavill's Superman. The point is, we are going to get more Henry Cavill's Superman, but we are going to get J.J. Abrams' brighter Superman as well. Both can exist together, maybe even cross over. That's the point. But the world also needs a brighter Superman, more now than ever. Right. The world doesn't need a brighter Superman. It frankly needed a real one. Right, we have to disagree there. Yes, Henry Cavill's Superman is great, but is that what the world needed? Not necessarily. Yet it is the nostalgia that kept the world from embracing this Superman. Those who grew up with Reeve and became critics speak with the implicit bias of nothing living up to him. But you understand, Shiraz, that Christopher Reeve will be the ghost haunting Superman for eternity, because sometimes something so good it cannot be outdone. It's the same thing as David Tennant as Doctor Who and your favourite James Bond. You know, this will always happen. No one can live up to Reeve. And this is one of the reasons that they went after Snyder, to do something different, so it couldn't be compared to Reeve. But what happened, they were still comparing it to Reeve. The future of Superman must embrace progress. This is when things get a bit iffy. The numbers show that every time Superman pushes forward, the audience responds by showing up. Christopher Reeve and Richard Donner's Superman was a transcendent leap after the George Reeves-led Adventures of Superman television series of the 1950s. Adjusted for inflation, Superman the movie made over $1 billion. The next time Superman truly pushed forward was 2013's Man of Steel, bringing in the highest box office since then with $668 million. 2016's Batman vs. Superman continued the upward spike, giving Superman another cinematic layer and singing in the tune of $872 million. Now that's an impressive figure, isn't it? But a film with Batman vs. Superman should be making closer to $3 billion, and that sounds ridiculous. But these are two of the biggest characters in legacy, in film, and they should have been pulling a lot more. And it's interesting, isn't it, as Shiraz talks about not plumping for nostalgia over, evolution, when he's even admitted, when he compares the money that Superman the movie would have made today, it's $1 billion. Not even Batman vs. Superman, a film with both Superman and Batman in it, could compete with the box office of Superman the movie. And again, I'm a fan of Batman vs. Superman. I don't want to see that film out of existence. It's a beautiful film. Man of Steel is one of the best films I've ever seen. It's an amazing film, and I agree this was an arc that was going to take Superman probably to the same place that Christopher Reeve's Superman started in. maybe not so kind of gummy and gee whiz, but still that pure hero, right? And hopefully by the end of that arc, Superman turns around and says, I've killed once, I don't want to do it again. And he learns from killing Zod. At least, that's what I wanted. If you're going to have Superman kill, it's got to be the precursor for him not killing, right? That's what I think anyway. Now let's juxtapose that with the moment Superman devoted instead of evolved. Superman 3 and Superman 4 removed the magic of the Donner-led films, opting for something much campier, with the latter making a paltry 36 million worldwide. Superman Returns did not embrace change despite the 2-decade gap between films, and instead tied itself to the hip of Christopher Reeve, resulting in 391 million in 2006. But still, you can't answer this question, can you? Superman the movie, you said, right, you translated the figures yourself, made over $1 billion globally. Batman vs Superman and Man of Steel did not do that. If we're just going to talk about box office here, I must reiterate, because of the fandom I'm speaking to, I love Snyder, I love Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, but this is actually a flawed argument if you're talking about box office, when you've already told us that Superman the movie has made more than both Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, and was better reviewed, and still is. For Superman to truly thrive, the character must be allowed to evolve in the same way Batman or Spider-Man evolved from, iteration to iteration. If audiences and critics can accept that Tom Holland is a different Spider-Man from Tobey Maguire, and can also see that Robert Pattinson is a different Batman than Adam West, surely we should understand Henry Cavill is different than Christopher Reeve. Listen, we're about to come to the end of this. It's so different because actually most people love Tobey Maguire and still say he's the definitive Spider-Man. A lot of people don't like Tom Holland. In fact, people prefer the Amazing Spider-Man movies to the fake Spider-Man movies. And there's a lot of, there's a divide in that fandom, by the way. It's like the Hulk fandom. A lot of people do not like Ruffalo's Hulk and prefer both Eric Banner's and Ed Norton's versions. In fact, people still wish Ed Norton was part of the MCU. So there are issues here, but Superman is a different case in point. Henry Cavill is currently slated to appear in Zack Snyder's Justice League in 2021. There are no current known plans for Superman to have his film soon. Actually, there is. Whether Cavill suits up as a character again or franchise opts to reboot, one thing needs to happen. Either way, evolution. Evolution can always be seen as devolution. But you see, Shiraz writes really well. And first time me reading that article, because people were telling me about it, I thought it was going to be a lot more controversial than that, by the way. So I didn't have to tear it totally down. And I like the guy, and I like the family, and I think they're brilliant, passionate fans, by the way. Very talented journalists. I want to make that clear, because people just take one line and get carried away. It's a bit like what's going on with Netflix, and I don't want to get into that. Right. So the whole thing is that the multiverse strategy that Walter Hamada and Jim Lee are developing, a multiverse strategy that's been going in the comics for many, many years now, is being developed for one reason, or many reasons, so they can race twist things and gender twist things, but also so they can have different versions of different characters. And Superman is a case in point, and we've discussed this on the DC Multiverse Daily so many times and here on Big Mouth, that we are going to carry on with Henry Cavill's Superman on HBO Max. Because let me tell you something, Shiraz. The movie going public as a mainstreaming, people are not going to like me for this, even though I love Cavs and I love his version of Superman, and I do. The mainstream rejected that Superman, rejected Man of Steel, rejected Batman versus Superman, Shiraz. That, my friend, is a hard fact that this fandom doesn't want to accept. It was rejected. The box office and the reviews tell us that, and the cinema sale, the ticket sales show us that. Now, the Man of Steel box office is a really good, solid box office. But Batman vs Superman, 868 million, although is a good number for a mere mortal film is not a good number, and it's not what Warner Brothers wanted. And the reactions to those films from the mainstream audience tell us everything. So as much as I love them, I have to have a balanced argument here and a balanced debate with you and speak the truth. I want to see more Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck, but I do not reject Robert Pattinson's version or any other version. I'm excited to see the Batman and Gotham PD. I'm excited for what Matt Reeves is doing because I know for a fact that Reeves is one of the biggest Batman fans in the world. And as is Ben Affleck, by the way. And they're both going to give us great different versions. And that is what a balance is, my friends. Saying that something has to evolve, but we need to throw out nostalgia. You can't throw out nostalgia from a character that's been around since 1938. It's about making money. It's about pleasing everyone. And AT&T and Warner Media get that. And that's why we're getting the multiverse strategy, Shiraz. So we can have both nostalgia and evolution. Nobody should be told what you love is wrong. This is the very argument I've been having since 2013's Man of Steel. How dare people come in and say Snyder ruins Superman, Snyder doesn't know comics. When you look at his DCEU movies, the man absolutely understands Superman and comics. If he didn't understand Superman's origins, he wouldn't have him when he's trying to fly, jumping and landing and jumping and landing. Because originally Superman in the comics could only jump from skyscraper to skyscraper. So Snyder gives us that from the original Action Comics. So he absolutely understands. So that's fine. And I'll defend Zach's vision for the DCEU and Superman and Batman. But I also must defend the nostalgia argument from the purists. Everyone deserves to have the Superman they want. And with the multiverse strategy, that's exactly what we're going to get. But it doesn't matter what I think. It's what you think. The people who slap views and comments on these videos, who mean so much to me. I may not get a lot of views or a lot of attention, but from the people I do, I absolutely appreciate you because it means you've got good taste. So comments down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DC Multiverse Daily. See you again soon.